Thomas and Charlotte, a determined young couple, decided to start a new life in Ravenswood, a remote town in the English countryside. The cutting wind blew as they unpacked their belongings in the old cottage that would be their home. The town seemed tranquil, but there was something in the air that hinted at a dense atmosphere of mystery. Exploring the narrow streets, the newcomers noticed that the residents of Ravenswood were reserved and avoided eye contact. The whispers among them indicated that the town held dark secrets for generations. The house they chose, with its warped windows and peeling paint, exuded an aura of nostalgia and, at the same time, unease. As night fell, the couple realized that the town had an even more intriguing peculiarity. The inhabitants seemed to disappear into the shadows when the moon reached its zenith. A sense of unease gripped Thomas and Charlotte, making them eager to unravel the mysteries that loomed over Ravenswood. The beginning of their journey in that cursed town was just starting. The following evening, Thomas and Charlotte attended a gathering at the local tavern, hoping to break the ice with the enigmatic townsfolk. The room fell silent upon their entrance, and the whispers seemed to grow louder. The flickering candles cast eerie shadows on the faces that avoided direct contact. An elderly woman named Agnes, with eyes that bore the weight of centuries, approached the couple. In a hushed tone, she warned them of an ancient curse that plagued Ravenswood. The town, she claimed, was haunted by spectral entities that emerged when the moon hung high in the night sky. Skepticism lingered in the air, but a chill ran down their spines. Later that night, as the moon ascended, Thomas and Charlotte witnessed the peculiar disappearance of the townsfolk into the shadows. Intrigued and unnerved, they decided to explore the deserted streets. Muffled whispers surrounded them, hinting at a hidden world that only revealed itself under the cloak of darkness. The couple couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, setting the stage for the mysteries to unfold. The following morning dawned gray and melancholic over Ravenswood. Thomas and Charlotte had hardly slept, tormented by whispers and the strange feeling of being watched. They decided to investigate the city's historical records in the hope of unraveling the mysteries that surrounded it. In the dusty library, they discovered ancient chronicles describing dark events that had occurred centuries ago. Ravenswood had been the stage for witch trials, where the innocent were condemned and hanged. The history recounted the name of Sarah Goodwin, a woman unjustly accused who had cursed the city before her death. As Thomas read about the tragic saga, a ghostly figure appeared before them, gradually fading away. The vision brought with it a cutting cold, and the atmosphere became charged with a supernatural presence. The whispers, now more audible, echoed the name of Sarah, as if her spirit sought justice beyond the grave. Ravenswood held secrets from the past that were about to emerge with overwhelming force. Thomas and Charlotte, intrigued by the supernatural events, decided to explore the ancient cemetery of Ravenswood. Among tombs covered in ivy and weathered gravestones, they found the sepulchre of Sarah Goodwin. A shiver ran down their spines as they spotted cryptic inscriptions on the tomb, revealing an ancient curse that plagued the town. As evening fell, the sky acquired reddish hues, foretelling a supernatural event. While Thomas and Charlotte roamed the cemetery, shadows writhed among the tombstones, taking unsettling forms. A voice whispered in the wind, echoing the curse uttered by Sarah. The atmosphere became dense, as if the specter of the woman herself rose from the grave. Suddenly, a ghostly image materialized before them, Sarah Goodwin, with deep eyes and a pained expression. The figure hovered between the realms of the living and the dead, crying out for justice. Thomas and Charlotte, petrified, understood that the solution to Ravenswood's mysteries lay in resolving the dark past the town carried. The couple felt the weight of responsibility as they faced the revelation of an ancestral conspiracy. Sarah would guide them on a journey haunted by buried secrets and hidden forces. The fate of Ravenswood was intricately tied to the quest for truth and the redemption of those who suffered injustices in the past. The night in Ravenswood became darker, and Thomas and Charlotte felt a sinister presence enveloping them as they returned to the inn. The atmosphere weighed heavily, and the town seemed to watch them with invisible eyes. Every shadow hid secrets, and the residents whispered in a conspiratorial tone. Upon revisiting the town's historical documents at the local library, Thomas uncovered a dark pact made centuries ago. A secret group, known as the Midnight Crows, had made a deal with supernatural forces in exchange for prosperity. The pact involved human sacrifices, and the descendants of those who broke the agreement were marked by the curse of Sarah Goodwin. Charlotte, consumed by curiosity, found ancient paintings depicting the founders of the secret society. The faces in the portraits seemed to look directly at her, as if the midnight crows transcended time to warn her. The dark truth emerged, revealing that the curse was fueled by an endless cycle of betrayal and despair. Determined to break the pact and free Ravenswood, Thomas and Charlotte would face supernatural challenges and the hostility of those who guarded the secret. As the night advanced, the town revealed its darkest side, and the line between allies and enemies became increasingly blurred. The following morning, Thomas and Charlotte decided to investigate the locations indicated in the ancient documents. They wandered through the silent streets and discovered secret entrances leading to underground chambers. The damp and heavy air indicated they were close to something sinister. As they explored the depths, they found a hidden altar and mystical inscriptions on the walls. The truth began to unfold. The pact required the reactivation of the ancestral ritual. With every step, the atmosphere grew denser, and the malevolent presence surrounding Ravenswood seemed to awaken. They discovered that the key to undoing the pact was linked to the lineage of Sarah Goodwin. Charlotte, surprisingly, realized that her ancestry was connected to Sarah herself. The revelation shook her, but it also bestowed upon her a power that could break the dark cycle. Thomas and Charlotte, joining forces, decided to confront the ritual and challenge the supernatural forces guarding the city's secret. As night approached, the fate of Ravenswood was in the hands of these two fearless protagonists, and the final chapter unfolded on the dark horizon. As night fell, Thomas and Charlotte prepared for the final confrontation. The town seemed silent, as if anticipating the outcome of the imminent battle. The moon cast a pale light over the deserted streets of Ravenswood as they entered the location indicated by the ancient documents. The underground chamber was imbued with a sinister energy, and candles flickered around the ancestral altar. As they approached, shadows came to life, twisting and dancing around the place. Thomas and Charlotte felt the presence of the supernatural as they prepared to undo the pact that had plagued the town for centuries. As they recited ancient words and performed ritual gestures, the shadows reacted with fury. The air was electrically charged, and the ground trembled with the intensity of the confrontation. Charlotte's ancestry proved vital, channeling a force that defied the darkness. In a climactic moment, darkness seemed to retreat before the light emanating from the heart of Ravenswood. The shadows slowly vanished, as if being consumed by a greater force. Thomas and Charlotte, exhausted, watched as the town was freed from the yoke that had imprisoned it for so long. As they emerged from the chamber, dawn was breaking on the horizon. Ravenswood, once shrouded in mystery and fear, awoke to a new era. The pact was broken, and the town breathed a sigh of relief, liberated from the clutches of the shadows that haunted it. Thomas and Charlotte, unlikely heroes, contemplated the dawn of a new beginning for Ravenswood.
In the small town of Bournemouth, where the trees seemed to whisper secrets and the wind carried the scent of ancient tragedies, lived Evelyn Sinclair. She had inherited a dilapidated mansion at the top of the hill, a dark legacy left by her ancestors. The mansion was known as the Clock House due to the enormous clock tower that relentlessly marked the hours. It was said that the clock never stopped, not even during the most violent storms. Its tick-tock echoed like a deranged heart. Evelyn, a woman with restless eyes and dark hair, did not know what awaited her within those shadowy walls. Villagers avoided talking about the house, but their glances carried the weight of centuries of fear and secrets. One night, when the moon was hidden behind thick clouds, Evelyn found a dusty envelope in her mailbox. The yellowed paper contained only one sentence: "I at midnight come to the clock." Curious and apprehensive, Evelyn decided to follow the instructions. At the stroke of midnight, she climbed the hill to the mansion. The clock chimed, and the door to the tower creaked open. The interior was steeped in shadows, and the air smelled of dampness and mystery. Wooden stairs creaked beneath her feet as she ascended, guided only by the faint light of the moon. Inside, she found a tall, pale man dressed in antiquated attire. His eyes were as black as the night, and he smiled, revealing sharp teeth. "Evelyn Sinclair, heiress of the Clock House," he said. "You are the chosen one. Accept the pact, and your lineage will be eternally blessed." Evelyn didn't know what was happening, but something within her compelled her to agree. The man extended his hand and she shook it. The clock began to spin faster and the ground shook. "Time is our ally now," the man whispered. "But also our prison." From that moment on, Evelyn realized that the clock didn't just mark time, it counted the seconds of her life, stealing them away slowly. Each chime felt like a knife in her heart. She saw the ghosts of the ancient Sinclairs, all with empty eyes and disfigured faces. They whispered secrets and lamentations. Evelyn was trapped in the web of the curse, condemned to age rapidly as the clock continued to spin. "You are the guardian of time," the ghost said. "The last hope to free our lineage." Determined to break the pact, Evelyn began to investigate. She discovered that her ancestors had made a deal with a dark entity in exchange for wealth and power. Now, she needed to find the lost spellbook and undo the enchantment. But the clock didn't stop. At midnight, she would face the pale man again. It would be her last chance to escape the curse or become yet another soul trapped in the clock house. And so, the countdown began. The clock mercilessly ticked away each second as Evelyn fought against time and destiny. What would you do if the midnight clock were counting down your days? Evelyn spent hours in the library, flipping through dusty tomes. Each page held dark secrets and forbidden enchantments. She found a yellowed parchment written in an ancient language. The words seemed to dance, and the ink appeared alive. "The ritual of liberation is here," she murmured. "But it requires a sacrifice." The parchment described a ritual involving blood and shadows. Evelyn hesitated, but the clock continued to spin, stealing her precious seconds. She had no choice. At midnight, in the mansion's attic, Evelyn drew a circle with charcoal. She cut the palm of her hand and let the blood drip into the center. The candles flickered and the air grew thick. Evelyn understood. Her family had made a pact centuries ago to protect the portal. Now she held the key to break the curse. The clock continued to mark time relentlessly, but now she had a chance to change her destiny. The gears turned, echoing the incessant tick-tock that filled the air. Evelyn looked at the man before her. His eyes were as pale as the full moon shining through the dusty windows. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling. The man smiled, revealing teeth as sharp as blades. He didn't answer, only extending his skeletal hand toward her. Evelyn hesitated for a moment, but then approached. She felt the coldness of his skin against hers when he touched her forehead. "You have courage, Evelyn," he whispered. "Courage enough to face what is to come?" Evelyn nodded, determined. She knew that the clock house held ancient and dangerous secrets. But she also knew that there was something more inside, something that could change everything. She was willing to risk everything to find out what it was. The pale man led her through the dark corridor, where shadows danced on the walls like ghosts. The clock continued to mark time, each second feeling like an eternity. When they reached the mahogany door at the end of the corridor, the man stopped. "This is the point of no return," he said. "Once you enter, there is no turning back." Evelyn looked at the door. She knew she was about to cross a threshold to step into an unknown world. But she didn't hesitate. With one last glance at the pale man, she pushed the door open and entered the clock room. What would she find inside? The answer was about to change the course of her life forever. Inside the clock house, Evelyn found herself immersed in a world that defied the laws of physics and reason. The walls seemed to breathe, and the air was charged with an electric hum. She walked through endless corridors, each door leading to a new mystery. In a dark room, she found a giant clock with gears spinning in impossible directions. Each tick-tock seemed to echo inside her head, as if time were unraveling in spirals around her. In another room, she came across a mirror reflecting alternative versions of herself. In one, she was a powerful queen, in another, a desperate fugitive. The mirror whispered secrets and promises but never showed the same image twice. Evelyn also discovered ancient books with pages that changed content every time she opened them. Stories of love, betrayal, adventure, and tragedy intertwined, and she found herself lost in worlds that couldn't possibly exist. But most intriguing of all was the pale man accompanying her. He seemed to know every corner of the clock house, every hidden secret. He guided her but also tested her, posing enigmatic questions and presenting impossible challenges. Evelyn knew she was on a journey to unravel the mystery of the clock house. Her fate was intertwined with the ticking of the clock, and she was willing to face any obstacle to discover the truth. What she would find in the end, only time would tell. The destiny of the pale man remained as enigmatic as the corridors of the clock house. Evelyn continued her quest, unraveling secrets and facing challenges. The man guided her to the heart of the house, where a colossal clock pulsed with ancient energy. At midnight, when the ticking reached its peak, the pale man revealed his true nature. He wasn't just a guide, he was a guardian of the house's secrets. His pale eyes glowed with supernatural light as he merged with the clock's gears. "Are you ready for the truth?" the man whispered. Evelyn nodded, her heart racing. He extended his skeletal hand and touched her forehead once again. Images flooded her mind, past lives, unmade choices, intertwined destinies. Evelyn saw the pale man in different times and places. He was an alchemist in a medieval court, an astronaut in a distant future, a desperate lover in a Paris frozen in time. He was all of them and none of them. "We are all part of the same clock," said the man. "Every choice, every moment shapes the fabric of time. You can change your destiny, but not without consequences." Evelyn made her decision. She turned the clock's hands, undoing ages of secrets and mysteries. The pale man vanished, absorbed by the gears. The ticking stopped, and the clock house crumbled to dust. Evelyn emerged into the outside world, where the sun was rising on the horizon. She didn't know if she had changed her own destiny or everyone's. But one thing was certain, the pale man was now a part of her, an eternal reminder of what she was willing to sacrifice for freedom. And so, Evelyn moved forward, with the ticking of time still echoing in her ears, and the pale man always lurking in the shadows.